Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show. I'm Kenny Rice. Thanks for tuning in on Stitcher, new to that, and YouTube, Google Play, iTunes 93.9 in Louisville, the Ville. And we've gotten 22 countries now that have downloaded this show. And one of the reasons, because of the guests we get. Like a longtime friend of mine, one of the best in the business, Eclipse Award-winning photographer Bill Straus joins us. Bill, good to see you.
Good to see you, Kenny. Thanks for having me here.
Well, you know, I've admired your work for a long time, and I've got some of your work, actually, including one of my favorite pictures is Swale, for personal reasons, when he won the Derby. Do you ever think about how many pictures you've taken of horses in 30-some years doing this?
I'd probably need to lay down and take a nap if I did, but there's been an awful lot of them.
What amazes me is, and I guess it's changed like everything else has changed with technology, but there was a time, I guess, back in the 80s, now you kind of got the shot. In other words, you couldn't set up, or did you set up like a bank of cameras like seems to be the way it is now, where you're getting like, 4, 5, 6 shots at the shot?
Yeah, actually, we'd use remote cameras then, just as we do now. The only difference was you were limited with 36 exposures on that remote. I'm reminded of Spendebuck's Derby.
Yeah.
I think it was, 85?
Yeah.
I had 4 pictures in the thoroughbred record off of that race. One of them came from the camera in my hand. The other 3 were all from remotes.
Wow.
So we did that then. There's probably more use of remotes now. It's just a little bit easier with some of the electronics. But we did that then.
And I guess with remotes, too, you still have to strategically place them, right? You just can't say, just put a bunch of cameras out there and we'll get lucky.
Well, you're right. And luck does play a part in it. You point it a certain way, and then you hope something happens in the view of that camera.
Do you have a favorite moment or two? There's a lot of them. See, like me, I'm going to say this. I'll qualify this. People ask, it was Pharaoh because I'd never seen a Triple Crown winner in person. I'd watched Slew affirmed Secretariat on TV when I was a kid, but to actually be there and to be there for all the near misses and to finally see one and to interview Baffert right after the race.
There's such a long list of near misses.
Oh, geez, I've covered more near misses than the 2 winners.
Absolutely. I think probably at least 2 come to mind. A picture I made of Affirmed in the 78 Derby.
Yeah.
That started me doing pictures in horse racing. And then the 84 Breeders' Cup Classic with Slew again, Slew of Gold, Wild again, and Gate Dancer.
Yeah.
Crushed, and that was the picture that won the Eclipse, so I kind of like that one.
And that was what a classic picture of a classic race. And honestly, I think that made the Breeders' Cup right there. That moment punctuated that whole day and got everybody excited. That's continued on 30-some years later.
You're right. It was a terrific day. I described it to many as the most intense 4 hours I'd ever worked. Because typically you see a race finish and you got 20, 30 minutes before the next one, no big deal. Something like that, it was compressed and you're just constantly moving. And the next big race came up. There are no small races in the Breeders' Cup.
Right.
And it's just one after another. It's amazing.
It really is. Now, so in 78, that was kind of your intro. Well, you were around the horse business, I guess. Is that how you kind of got into horse racing?
Yes.
You mentioned that Derby. I don't know.
Yeah, I had been doing just some sports pictures of different sports and different things. And I was asked to go to the Derby to assist a fellow named was Jim Sames. And I was down the first turn. And I actually shot him as they came through that turn. I had a nice picture, I thought, of Affirmed. It's one of those things where now, we couldn't look at the back of the camera and see what we had.
Right.
But as he came through just watching, I said, I think I have a good picture. I saw a connection between Affirmed's owners, the Wolfsons, and Spendthrift Farm. And I had been out at Spendthrift to use a piece of their stone wall for location.
Yeah.
And called them up and said, I think I got this really cool picture. We want to see it. And went out there. They wanted to use it and then asked me to come there to take pictures. And it grew from there.
Wow. And grew into a great career.
Well, thank you.
I think so. We're talking to Bill Straus, who is the Eclipse Award-winning photographer. You have seen his pictures in, Blood Horse, Daily Racing Form, major newspapers. I don't know where you haven't had a picture published over the years.
I think I figured it out once. I've been on 6 of the 7 continents. I don't think there's a publication I can get to in Antarctica.
Yet.
Oh, they might have one down there. I don't know. I don't know what the penguins read.
When, you mentioned too about, the way it is now, like, we take a picture, like I have some family pictures I was looking at recently, and they're a little out of focus, and not that I'm a professional in any way, but, just for personal remembrance. And we didn't have at that time the ability to look there and say, oh, wait a minute, this is out of focus. Wait a minute, I cut your head off, or I cut half your body off. So back in the day when it was just kind of gut thinking, like you said, you just kind of felt you had something going.
Well, you had to look, yeah, and not every picture's good. I've said, people have said to me, I made this mistake, I made that mistake. Oh, you won't believe what I did with the camera. I said, listen, I've made every mistake you have many times. You just had to see it and know and have confidence. And sometimes when you just hit it right, you see it in the viewfinder, and I hope I got it absolutely sharp, but I think I did that one right.
Yeah. Now, how different is it? Obviously, you got the action of the horse race. They're coming from the paddock, whatever. See, there's some movement, as opposed to many of your other great pictures are out on farms, or conformation. The horse is standing. I always wondered if that was sometimes tougher to get them to stand in that moment than to get them when they're galloping, where you just say, hey, I just got it right there. They just galloped well. But here, hey, please move your foot a little bit more. I'm trying to get this great confirmation shot of you. Keep your head up more.
The common element in my mind is, first of all, patience. Not for the horse, but for the photographer or the people in the case of confirmation pictures, all the grooms too. If you lose your patience, horses will pick up on that very quickly. If you're shooting the finish of a race, you know that where you want to be is the finish line, so you're geared toward that, and you're just patient and just work your way right through it. A confirmation picture, you're right. Each leg has to be in a certain spot, work together with the grooms and the horse to get there. And you just have to be patient, take your time, and as you say, even there, you see it when you push the button, you know that you have it.
Wow. We're talking with Bill Straus, a Eclipse Award-winning photographer. Fascinating work that he's done over the years. He should write a book with his stories. Are you going to write a book?
I can't write. That's why I take pictures.
Well, take pictures. Put a lot of pictures in it. You don't have to write as much. We'll be back with more on Bill here on the Horse Racing Show. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show. We're at episode 44. Seems like it was only 43 we started years ago. Okay, the first of this year. Longtime friend of mine, as good as it gets. We talked about getting as good as it gets guests on. And there are many good photographers out there. None better, I don't think, than Bill Straus, the Eclipse Award winner. And I really mean that.
Thank you.
And how competitive do you guys get? Because you're all lined up. As I'm sitting there, maybe going to interview the winner or the loser, or waiting to see what happens after a race. And I see a row of you guys, and I know some of you are friendly, and some of them are my friends too. Does it ever get nasty? Any elbows? Any hockey board checking, all that?
It depends on where you are. It used to be at the Derby, everything's fine. You get to the Belmont, and now you're dealing with New York media. Then it gets a little bit more aggressive there. It used to be, I've done, 3 Final Fours. And in the day, we used to go out on the court after the game. They don't do that anymore.
Right.
And there'd be some good pushing and shoving there. We do get competitive in that we all want to get a good picture. We're all friendly because we're working together. And in horse racing, as you know, it's really a small community.
Yeah, it is.
And so we're with each other all the time, but I still want to get a better picture than somebody else does.
Yeah, and as I tell people too, in horse racing, you don't have the luxury of that public relations, that sports information guy that's going to say, hey, Bill, we're going to bring him right over here for a picture in a moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, the horse may be getting in here in a moment. He's acting up. We'll bring him in the winner's circle in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Everybody hang tight. Hey, where's Todd Pletcher? Where's hey, where did Bob Baffert go, or wherever? You know the deal.
You're right, and as you well know, one of the big thing you can't control is the horse. Right. I mean, they're hanging on to him. I get it, but if it's just like when a horse runs, if he's not in the mood today, you're not going to get the results running that you want. So a horse has a mind of his own, and you have to try to work with him and deal with that.
Yeah. Now, you talked about shooting Final Fours. I've seen you at many other sporting events, some of them that I've covered as well. Is there any kind of connection? I mean, I guess the action shot is the action shot, or is there a big difference between like a basketball, football, horse racing shot to get that moment?
There's similarities. First of all, we use remote cameras in basketball, just as we do in horse racing. I've used remote cameras at space shuttle launches. But I guess the answer to that is that in horse racing, the picture is at the finish line.
Yeah.
In basketball, you think the picture is at the basket. In football, at the end of the day, it's at the goal line. Now, you get plenty of good action pictures in between. The same thing in racing. Come through the first turn, at Churchill. The standard picture, the horses come through the turn with spires in the background.
Right.
Tight shot coming off the last turn.
Yeah.
So there are those similarities. But the bottom line is you've got some place where everything's going to end, and that's where you want to be.
Wow. And like you say, the finish line pictures, those low angle ones, and I've got one that you gave me of Swale. That's still one of my favorites, and he's, and especially the pictures where they're off the ground.
Yeah.
You see the four hoofs off the ground, and you kind of see it with your naked eye, and you go, he is flying. And then literally you see for a moment they do fly.
Well, you're right. I don't know if you're aware of it. There's an old series of pictures that were made, I'm sure 100 years ago. There was some question whether that horses actually left the ground. And in the early days of photography, a man set up a long series of cameras on a racetrack. And there was strings across the track, and they had a horse run. And as the horse hit each string, it fired the cameras. And that became stop action, if you will, because you could flip through the prints to see the motion. But that's when they caught a horse off the ground by doing that to prove that he actually did fly.
Wow. That's still a great. Do you ever look back at the shots and all the thousands? Dare I say, I don't even know. You might even be at the million range if you added up all the pictures you've taken of football, basketball, baseball, space launches, political events, and horse racing. I mean, seriously, I don't know how many you do have.
I do. I usually, every few years, I will go through, I've got file drawers full of contact sheets from the film days.
Yeah.
And I'll look through those. I don't a lot of times see where I am at the time I'm working because I get, no pun intended, focused on what we're doing.
Sure.
And so I'll go back, and I found some pictures from a concert I shot at Rupp Arena, and the opening act was Dire Straits.
Is that right?
I had no idea. And I happened to find them.
My sister Carol still has the pictures you gave her of the Who.
Oh, really?
You remember you all were like down there together,
yeah.
and like in the pits or something. And what was that, like 81, 82, something like that. Yeah. When I remember that. I remember that concert. I didn't get to go, but I remember everybody told me it was good.
It was very good. Sorry you weren't there.
That's okay. I see you at many of them. I do have the luxury of going a little more than I used to, with the work schedule. But sometimes I look back and I go, that was a pretty good interview I did. Hopefully like this one, thanks to the subject. But do you ever look back and go, hey, that picture was actually really good? I mean,
oh, yeah.
That picture, I really did a good job that time.
There are some that I said, boy, I really got this one right. I really like that. There's also times I've looked at a picture and said, well, I kind of missed that. It literally happened. I'd been to Saratoga and shot Affirmed in the Traverse, which he was DQ'd, as you'll recall.
Right, exactly.
And Seattle Slew was up there working out.
Ooh.
And I had a picture of the morning fog, this slide, it was all blue. And secretary, his trainer then was Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and said, that's too dark. And I threw it down on the floor in a pile with all these others. And I went back and said, I'm going to look at that again.
Yeah.
And I hung on to it, and Spendthrift had sent me up there, and they wound up using that for a long time.
Yeah.
Just loved the picture. So sometimes you see them and don't realize right away what they are. So on second looks, you'll figure it out.
Now, if someone wants a Bill Straus picture, where would they go to take a look at maybe what's out there where they say, Christmas is a-coming, and I want to get, my uncle, my dad, my mom, my sister, somebody a beautiful horse racing picture. I don't know if I want action, if I want a pastoral scene or something. I would say go to your website.
Yep. Go to BillStraus.com, 1S on Straus. And there's a lovely selection. Thank you for the plug.
Well, it really is. And, I think it's a good gift.
Thank you.
So BillStraus.com.
Yes.
That's simple.
Nothing to it. Or call me up. Be glad to have you come see me.
We'll start flashing your number on the screen. We'll start flashing.
Remember the Jerry Lewis telethons? We'll wind up there in no time.
I did those.
I know you did
those for a long time for a local TV station in Lexington, and Bill would come out. And those were the days where we did it straight through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We'd do like 22 hours, and they would come back from Vegas and throw it to the local affiliates for like 15 minutes, I think, on the hour. And then we wrapped up like the last hour live or something.
Didn't you do them once at one of the malls?
We did malls. We did
Yeah.
several started at the malls. Yeah, we kind of got into that. I remember we had to have extra security like at 3 a.m. It was amazing the crowd you draw at 3 a.m. You can go to a barn at 3 a.m. and you probably won't beat too many trainers there. Other like Wayne Lucas, you won't beat him. He'll be there.
Yeah.
But you go to a mall at 3 o'clock in the morning, telethon time.
I wasn't there with you then. I came earlier.
Yeah,
or later.
You're a wise man, though. We always know that. Bill, my friend, thank you so much for being with us.
Kenny, thanks for having me.
You got to come back. We'll catch up on some more stories soon.
Love to, anytime.
Meanwhile, go to BillStraus.com.
Yes.
That's it. And look at some of the pictures that you might want to be sending this holiday season, buying for your family and friends. We'll be back with more of the Horse Racing Show right after this.